live in a world that worships kindness, honesty, and mercy. But what if I told you that goodness, when practiced blindly, is the very seed of your destruction? What if the virtue you cling to is the chain that keeps you weak, vulnerable, and forgotten? Tonight, we uncover Machiavelli's hidden truth, the shocking cost of goodness, and how it destroys those who dare to embrace it without wisdom. Have you ever wondered why those who devote themselves entirely to goodness so often end up crushed beneath the weight of the world? Why do the kindest rulers fall first, while the ruthless live to rule again? This is not a coincidence, my friend. It is a law as ancient as mankind itself. Goodness, in its purest form, is not strength. It is a mask, and worse, it is a mask that does not protect, but exposes weakness to the eyes of wolves who circle, waiting to strike. We have been taught since childhood that goodness is a shield. That if we are virtuous, honest, and merciful, the world will return the same in kind. But let me show you a truth that is hidden beneath the illusions of moral teachings. In the theater of power, goodness is not a shield. It is a signal, a flare in the night sky that declares, "Here stands a man who will not resist. Here stands a leader who will not retaliate." The moment this signal is seen, the predators move in. Consider a ruler who rules with nothing but mercy. His people praise him, his name is sung in the marketplace, and for a time, he is loved. But love is fickle. Love does not protect. When famine arrives, when enemies press at the border, when fear seeps into the hearts of men, love dissolves into anger, into desperation. The same people who once praised him for his goodness will now curse him for his weakness. They will turn to another, one who promises survival even if it requires cruelty. Machiavelli reveals to us that goodness is most often interpreted not as virtue, but as softness. A ruler who spares his enemies is not seen as merciful, but as too timid to act. A merchant who tells only truth is not admired, but mocked by those who grow rich on deception. In this world, the man who clings stubbornly to virtue alone is the easiest prey. Let us imagine a court of rival princes. One of them is pure in heart, always choosing fairness, generosity, honesty. His subjects admire his noble character, but his rivals laugh behind their goblets of wine. They know he can be manipulated. They know he will hesitate when cruelty is required. And they know, when the day comes to decide who rules, his goodness will not protect him from daggers hidden beneath cloaks. What is the true cost of goodness? It is the stripping away of defenses. Goodness tells the world you are bound by rules. It tells the cunning man that you will not lie when lying is necessary. It tells the ruthless general that you will not strike preemptively, even when survival demands it. To be good consistently and without disguise is to paint a target on your back and to hand the bow to your enemy. And yet, here lies the tragedy. Men believe that goodness will earn loyalty, but loyalty gained through goodness alone is fragile, like wax melting in the sun. When circumstances shift, when hunger gnaws, when ambition stirs, loyalty evaporates. Those bound to you only because of your virtue will abandon you when another offers power, wealth, or security. For men admire goodness in words, but they follow strength in action. History is not kind to the purely virtuous. Look at the empires that fell because their rulers were too merciful. Look at the noble kings who were betrayed by their closest allies because they trusted too much. Look at the leaders who refused cruelty when it was necessary, and instead met cruelty themselves at the hands of their enemies. Every page of history whispers the same lesson: goodness unguarded is weakness. Now you may say, but surely goodness has its place. Surely a man cannot rule by fear alone. And yes, you are right. A ruler must know how to appear good, for appearances are a powerful weapon. The people want to believe in goodness. They want to believe in the noble image of their leader. But make no mistake, the image must not match the reality. To truly survive, a ruler must understand the art of the mask. Show goodness to the public, but behind the mask, hold the iron will to act without hesitation. This is why Machiavelli warns, if you are good always, you are doomed. If you are good when it is safe to be good, and ruthless when necessity calls, then you are wise. The world is not a temple of saints, it is a battlefield of predators. And predators do not respect virtue, they respect survival. So remember this hidden truth: goodness, when clung to as an absolute, becomes a declaration of weakness. It becomes an announcement to all who watch that you can be defeated not by strength, but by your own morality. The wolves do not fear the lamb who bleats of kindness. They only wait for the right moment to strike. We are told that virtue is noble, that living with honesty, fairness, and compassion will reward us in the end. But let us strip away the veil of illusions. Virtue is not free, it comes at a cost. And those who cling to it, without wisdom or disguise, soon discover that the price of virtue is heavier than they ever imagined. This is the hidden truth, the truth you will not hear from priests, poets, or philosophers. Virtue does not protect you. Virtue drains you. Virtue demands sacrifice, and sacrifice is the very thing you need most to survive at power. Imagine a ruler who governs with absolute goodness. He refuses to deceive his allies, refuses to punish his enemies harshly, refuses to betray his word. His court praises him as a saint among men, but outside the palace walls, his enemies sharpen their swords. While he clings to his principles, they plot his downfall. While he hesitates out of mercy, they act with cruelty. And when the storm finally breaks, his virtue cannot shield him. His honesty cannot stop the blade. His compassion cannot guard his throne. Virtue in this case is not salvation. It is the very chain that drags him into ruin. The hidden price of virtue is vulnerability. To be good in a world that is not good is to place yourself at the mercy of men who laugh at your purity. They see your honesty as naivety. They see your generosity as weakness. They see your mercy as hesitation. And each of these judgments becomes a weapon against you. Virtue practiced blindly is an invitation to be exploited. But let us not confine this truth only to rulers. Consider the merchant who insists on absolute fairness. He refuses to raise his prices even when scarcity allows it. He refuses to cut corners even when competitors do. He refuses to flatter powerful clients with lies. For a time, he may win admiration, but admiration does not pay debts. Admiration does not secure markets. Admiration does not protect him when rivals crush his business through deception. His virtue cost him wealth, position, and survival. What the world applauds with words, it punishes with reality. Here is the paradox: men praise virtue, but do not practice it. They demand honesty from others while they themselves lie. They demand generosity while hoarding for themselves. They demand mercy when they are weak, but they abandon it when they are strong. The virtuous man, therefore, becomes a tool. His goodness becomes a resource to be consumed by others who do not share his scruples. The hidden price of virtue is that it isolates you from the brutal game that others are playing without hesitation. Machiavelli teaches that virtue, when divorced from necessity, is not strength but self-destruction. A ruler who insists on being merciful at all times will lose his state. A general who refuses to betray his oath will lose his army. A leader who keeps every promise, no matter the consequence, will lose his life. The cost of virtue is paid in blood, in territory, in power, in legacy. History remembers the conquerors, not the martyrs of morality. Think of Caesar, who rose by ambition, not by goodness. Think of Alexander, who conquered not through honesty but through relentless will. Think of rulers who betrayed treaties, who punished enemies without hesitation, who lied when it was necessary, and who struck first before being struck themselves. They are remembered as great, but where are the monuments of the purely virtuous? Where are the statues of men who clung only to morality? Their names are forgotten because virtue without cunning leaves no legacy. The most dangerous truth is this: the world does not reward virtue, it exploits it. The kind ruler is devoured by his subjects when famine comes. The merciful commander is overrun by enemies who know he'll not retaliate with equal cruelty. The honest statesman is outmaneuvered by liars who understand that perception, not truth, rules men's hearts. And yet, the world continues to preach that virtue is the highest ideal. Why? Because those in power know that if you remain virtuous, you remain weak. The sermon of goodness is the chain that keeps the masses obedient, while the cunning few break those chains and rule. To understand the hidden price of virtue, you must accept this: every act of goodness you perform has a cost in power. When you forgive, you surrender the strength of fear. When you tell the truth, you surrender the weapon of deception. When you show mercy, you surrender the security of eliminating your enemy. Each sacrifice chips away at your foundation until nothing remains but noble intentions buried beneath the ruins of your downfall. And yet, appearances matter. Men must appear virtuous to inspire loyalty, to win trust, to secure legitimacy. But the appearance must never bind the hand. A ruler should look merciful, but be ready to kill. He should appear honest, but be prepared to deceive. He should seem generous, but calculate every gift for gain. To truly understand power, you must learn this distinction. To appear virtuous brings advantage, but to be virtuous without calculation brings ruin. The hidden price of virtue is not only loss, but betrayal. For those who see you as virtuous will test you. They will push, knowing you will not retaliate. They will betray you, knowing you will forgive. They will exploit you, knowing you will not strike back. And in the end, it is not your enemies alone who destroy you. It is your very own virtue, the rope with which you hang yourself. Look closely at the world around you. Do you see the crowns upon the heads of saints, or do you see them upon the brows of wolves? Do you find thrones guarded by pure honesty, or are they defended by deception, fear, and calculation? The truth is too bitter for most to swallow, yet I must give it to you without disguise. It is not the good who rule, but the cunning. And in this ruthless advantage lies the very secret of survival, the hidden weapon that separates those who fall from those who rise. Cunning is the art of deception, the mastery of appearances, the ability to manipulate the hearts of men while concealing your true intentions. A ruler who is cunning may not be truly virtuous, but he will seem virtuous. He may not be merciful, but he will appear merciful. He may not be honest, but he will speak as though honesty is his only language. And in this theater of masks, perception matters more than reality. For the people do not follow truth. They follow the image of truth. Consider the cunning leader who wears the mask of goodness. To his subjects, he is merciful, generous, and just. They sing his praises, they believe he is one of them. They trust him with their loyalty. Yet behind closed doors, his hand is as ruthless as iron. He rewards not based on virtue, but on utility. He punishes not because of justice, but because of necessity. He deceives his allies to secure advantage, and when the time comes, he betrays them without hesitation. And still his people love him, for they see not the dagger in his hand, only the hallow upon his head. This is the ruthless advantage. The cunning man is not bound by the heavy chains of goodness. He can choose when to act with virtue, and when to discard it. He can decide when to show mercy, and when to kill without regret. He can tell the truth when it benefits him, and lie when it does not. To be cunning is to play the game with every tool, while the virtuous man plays with only one. And in this game, limitation is death. Think of history's great conquerors and rulers. Did they rise to power through purity of heart? No. They rose by mastering appearances, by deceiving rivals, by striking first, by breaking promises when necessity demanded. They wore the mask of goodness long enough to secure trust, and then, when the moment arrived, they cast aside that mask and revealed the steel beneath. Their victories were not the rewards of virtue, but of cunning. Their empires were not built on honesty, but on manipulation and force. The cunning ruler understands that men are not guided by reason, but by desire and fear. If you can control these two forces, you control men themselves. To appear generous satisfies their desire for a noble leader. To instill fear ensures they dare not betray you. But if you rely on goodness alone, desire turns to greed, and fear fades into contempt. Goodness cannot control men. It only entertains them for a moment before they turn against you. Cunning, however, shapes their very hearts and binds them to your will. The ruthless advantage of the cunning is freedom. Freedom from the rigid morality that cripples the truly virtuous. Freedom to act according to necessity, not according to illusion. The cunning ruler is not trapped by promises, for he knows promises are tools to be broken when they no longer serve. He is not trapped by mercy, for he knows mercy, when misplaced, destroys authority. He is not trapped by honesty, for he knows that deception used wisely is the strongest weapon of all. The good man is a prisoner of his own virtue, but the cunning man is the master of his own power. Do not misunderstand me. Cunning does not mean cruelty without reason. A ruler who is cruel without calculation will be hated, and hatred breeds revolt. The cunning man knows this. He does not indulge in cruelty for pleasure. He wields it as a surgeon wields a blade, cutting only where necessary, striking only when it secures stability. Likewise, he does not lie without care, for too many lies breed distrust. Instead, he lies at the right moment, when deception can turn defeat into victory. The cunning man uses vice as an artist uses color, not drowning the canvas, but painting just enough to create the illusion of greatness. This is why the cunning outlasts the virtuous. The good ruler waits for loyalty to protect him, and when loyalty vanishes, he is destroyed. The cunning ruler manufactures loyalty through fear, through rewards, through manipulation, ensuring that even if love fades, obedience remains. The good leader depends on promises made to him, but promises are broken as easily as glass. The cunning leader depends on his own ability to adapt, to deceive, to control, and no betrayal can surprise him because he expects betrayal from the start. The ruthless advantage of the cunning is this: they are never at the mercy of the world, because they know how to bend the world to their will. Where the good man hopes that fate will reward his virtue, the cunning man makes fate his servant. Where the good man prays that loyalty will endure, the cunning man ensures that fear and ambition chain his followers to him. Where the good man dreams of justice, the cunning man creates order by whatever means necessary. And so we see, time and again, the same lesson written in blood across history. The good are praised in songs but erased in reality. The cunning are cursed by moralists but remembered as rulers. The world may despise their methods, but it cannot deny their victories. The cunning man thrives because he understands that in a world ruled by appearances, it is better to control perception than to live enslaved by principle. And in the ruthless advantage of cunning lies the only path to true and lasting power. There is a tragedy that repeats itself across every age, every empire, every kingdom of men. It is the tragedy of the good. They rise, they inspire, they are celebrated for their honesty, their kindness, their mercy. Their names are praised by poets, their reputations spread by the grateful. Yet always without fail, the good meet the same end, true betrayal. This is not accident nor coincidence. It is inevitability, for in a world where power governs, the man who clings too tightly to goodness invites treachery as surely as the sun invites the dawn. The reason is simple: goodness is fragile, and fragile things are easily broken. The good trust too much, forgive too easily, and believe too deeply in the loyalty of others. But loyalty, like love, is a shifting current. It flows when there is benefit, when there is gain, when there is fear of loss. Remove these anchors, and loyalty dissolves like mist in the morning. Those who are good, who believe loyalty will be eternal, are the ones who suffer most when it turns to betrayal. Consider the ruler who spares his rivals. Out of mercy, he forgives their crimes, allows them to live, even returns them to their positions of influence. His court applauds him. His people admire his compassion. But those very rivals, spared and restored, whisper in the shadows. They plot against him, for mercy breeds not gratitude but opportunity. The rival who is spared once knows he can betray again, and again he will, until the merciful ruler finds himself destroyed by the very men he chose to forgive. This is the curse of goodness. It creates false security. The good ruler believes his kindness will be remembered, his honesty will be honored, his compassion will be returned in kind. But men do not remember kindness when ambition tempts them. They do not honor honesty when deception profits them. They do not return compassion when survival demands cruelty. The good man believes the world will mirror his virtue, but the world reflects only necessity. And when necessity demands betrayal, even the most loyal ally will draw his dagger. History is a graveyard of good men betrayed. Look at the kings who trusted their nobles, only to be assassinated by them. Look at the generals who spared their enemies, only to be struck down by those same enemies when fortune shifted. Look at the reformers, the visionaries, the idealists who believed men would remain faithful to their cause, only to be abandoned when times grew hard. Every one of them paid the same price for the same mistake. They trusted goodness to secure them, when in truth, goodness left them defenseless. The inevitable betrayal of the good comes not only from enemies, but from their own people. A leader who rules by goodness alone may be loved, yes. But love fades when hunger rises. Love fades when fear spreads. Love fades when ambition whispers in the ears of men. In times of crisis, the people do not seek the most virtuous leader. They seek the strongest. And when they realize their good ruler cannot protect them, cannot defend them, cannot save them, they turn on him. Betrayal becomes survival, and survival outweighs loyalty every time. The cunning ruler expects betrayal. He plans for it, he guards against it, he even uses it to his advantage. But the good ruler, blind to the treachery of men, is destroyed by it. His downfall is swifter because he never prepared. He never imagined that those closest to him, those he trusted most, could turn against him. And so, when the knife is at his throat, his last words are not curses but disbelief. He dies not only from betrayal, but from the shock of it. And here lies the most bitter truth: goodness creates betrayal, because it creates opportunity. If you are always merciful, your enemies will test your mercy again. If you are always honest, your rivals will exploit your truth. If you are always generous, your allies will take until you are drained. Betrayal does not emerge despite goodness. It emerges because of it. For goodness signals to others that they can act against you without fear of retribution. And when men believe there will be no consequence, betrayal becomes inevitable. Think of the servant who sees his master as too kind to punish him. He begins with small disobedience. He grows bold, for he knows forgiveness will follow. Soon his disobedience turns to treachery. The master, too good to act harshly, is ruined by the very kindness he showed. Or consider the friend who knows you will forgive every betrayal. At first, he betrays, in small things, then in greater ones, until finally, he betrays in ways that destroy you completely. Your forgiveness did not buy loyalty. It purchased betrayal at a higher cost. This is why Machiavelli warns us, it is better to be feared than to be loved if you cannot be both. For fear restrains betrayal, but love does not. Fear holds men back when ambition tempts them. Fear keeps daggers sheathed when opportunity arises. Fear creates caution, but love creates boldness. To be loved is good as dangerous, because love frees men to betray you, believing they will be forgiven. To be feared, even slightly, ensures betrayal carries a price too high to risk. The inevitable betrayal of the good reveals a final paradox. The more good you are, the more certain your betrayal becomes. The higher your virtue, the greater the temptation for others to use it against you. Your honesty makes you predictable. Your mercy makes you exploitable. Your generosity makes you exhaustible. In the end, your goodness is not the wall that protects you. It is the crack in the wall through which betrayal enters. And once it enters, it does not stop until all that you have built collapses around you, so now you have seen the hidden truth. Goodness, that fragile jewel the world worships, is not the shield you were told it to be. It is a mask that exposes weakness. It is a virtue whose price is vulnerability, betrayal, and ruin. Those who cling to it without disguise pay with their power, their safety, and often their lives. History does not honor them with thrones, only with epitaphs. And yet, do not mistake this for a call to abandon goodness entirely. Appearances matter more than reality. A wise ruler knows he must appear merciful, generous, honest, even when in secret he holds the steel of cunning in his hand. For men are ruled by illusions. They crave the image of virtue, but they fear the force of necessity. To master both is to master survival itself. The shocking cost of goodness is revealed in every age ere it destroys those who live by it alone, while those who wear its mask but act with calculation rise above the rest. This is Machiavelli's hidden truth, that survival belongs not to the pure, but to the prudent, not to those who are good, but to those who know when to appear good and when to cast it aside. For in the harsh game of power, it is not virtue that preserves you. It is the wisdom to use virtue as a weapon, and the ruthlessness to discard it when it becomes a chain. And if you wish to endure in this world of wolves, remember always that goodness is a luxury, but cunning is a necessity.